Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance. When someone's actions contradict their words, it creates tension in them. Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and felt that something wasn't right, even though their words sounded sweet? Deep down, you sensed a mask, a performance, a carefully staged act meant to please or manipulate. That uneasy feeling is not random. It is your inner truth telling you that not everyone around you is who they appear to be. Some people smile with their lips, while their heart stays silent. Some people speak kindness, but their intention is empty. And if you've ever felt drained after spending time with certain people, it's because your spirit recognized the difference between genuine connection and manufactured fakeness. The most dangerous kind of person is not the one who openly opposes you, but the one who hides behind a mask of false support. Fake people pretend to cheer for you while secretly hoping you fail. They play the role of friend, but their loyalty disappears the moment it no longer benefits them. And the truth is, these hidden masks are everywhere. At work, in social circles, sometimes even within families. If you don't learn to recognize them, you risk giving your energy, trust, and heart to people who never valued them in the first place.
Never do these 3 things after a car accident if you want to potentially receive any money at all. Number 1.
You risk giving your energy, trust, and heart to people who never valued them in the first place. This is not about becoming suspicious of everyone. It's about sharpening your awareness so you can protect your peace. Because real strength is not just about how much you can give, but also about how wisely you choose where to give it. Every time you allow fake energy to sit in your space, you create room for doubt, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. But every time you recognize it for what it is, you take back control. You no longer waste your energy on masks. You save it for people who are real, people who will stand with you not only when life is easy, but also when it's hard. Think about how much lighter your life would feel if you no longer had to second guess the people around you. Imagine the freedom of knowing your circle is built on honesty, not performance. Imagine the strength that comes when you can trust that the smiles around you are genuine, that the words you hear carry truth, and that the support you feel is not conditional, but real. That is the reward for learning to see beyond the mask. You gain clarity, you gain confidence, you gain peace. This message is not meant to make you fearful. It's meant to empower you, because fake people only thrive when you ignore the signs. They only succeed when you silence your intuition. But the moment you start to notice the little inconsistencies, the false tones, the mismatched energy, their power over you disappears. You don't have to confront every mask. You don't have to fight every fake smile. You simply have to recognize them and choose not to give them space in your heart. Stay with me, because the signs are clearer than you think. Once you know what to look for, you'll never unsee them. And once you see, you'll no longer settle for less than real connection. What follows will give you the tools to protect your energy, strengthen your circle, and walk through life surrounded not by masks, but by truth. And when you live in truth, no fake person can touch the peace that belongs to you. Why do people feel the need to pretend? Why do some hide their true selves behind layers of performance, carefully sculpting an image they hope will be accepted? It's not always malicious. Often it is fear of rejection, fear of being seen as unworthy, fear of vulnerability. Some people are so desperate for approval that they will sacrifice honesty, authenticity, and connection just to be liked. But while their intentions may vary, the effect is always the same. Their inauthenticity drains you, confuses you, and chips away at your sense of trust. You are left questioning what is real and what is a facade, and that uncertainty can weigh heavier than any burden you carry alone. Fake behavior often begins in small, almost imperceptible ways. A compliment that feels rehearsed, a laugh that doesn't reach the eyes, a promise that is quickly forgotten. Over time, these tiny cracks accumulate, creating a pattern that is impossible to ignore. Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance. When someone's actions contradict their words, it creates tension in the minds of those around them. You feel it as unease, as second guessing, as the sinking realization that something is off. And your mind, your instincts are trying to warn you. They are telling you that not all smiles are safe, that not all words are honest, and that not every hand extended in friendship is meant to lift you up. Recognizing this pattern is not a sign of paranoia. It is a sign of clarity. The world will never hand you a manual for spotting deception, but your own awareness is sharper than you realize. When someone only mirrors what they think you want to see, when their praise feels hollow, when their attention is fleeting and conditional, these are not coincidences. These are signals. Every time you ignore them, you allow confusion and disappointment to infiltrate your life. Every time you tune in, you reclaim a part of yourself that is meant to be shielded from manipulation. Understanding why people act fake also frees you from taking it personally. Their inauthenticity is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their fears, insecurities, and limitations. When you see it through this lens, anger gives way to discernment, resentment to awareness. You learn to distinguish between those who can give you genuine support and those who cannot, between those who bring growth and those who bring distraction. Your energy becomes precious, something not to be squandered on performances and masks. The reward of seeing through fakeness is immense. You gain clarity that allows you to invest in relationships that nourish your spirit. You gain courage to step away from what is draining and embrace what is enriching. You gain peace by refusing to participate in illusions. And most importantly, you discover a deeper sense of trust in yourself. When you recognize the motives and fears that drive fake behavior, you no longer doubt your instincts, your judgments, or your right to protect your inner world. You become stronger, sharper, and more resilient. Your life does not need to be weighed down by masks.
My husband used to ejaculate prematurely until this.
You're sharper and more resilient. Your life does not need to be weighed down by masks. You have the power to discern, to protect, and to surround yourself with truth. When you start noticing the subtle signs of inauthenticity, you stop giving energy to what doesn't serve you, and you begin to make space for what does. You create a circle of connection that is real, where every interaction feeds your soul rather than draining it. This awareness is the foundation of strength, the first step in taking control of your peace, and the key to living without compromise. It begins with noticing, it begins with understanding, and it begins with choosing not to settle for anything less than real. Have you ever noticed a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes? A laugh that feels hollow, rehearsed, or forced? That subtle disconnect is more than just a fleeting impression. It is a signal from your subconscious that something is not authentic. Human beings are wired to detect emotion on a level that goes beyond words. Micro-expressions, fleeting gestures, tiny shifts in tone. Your mind picks up on them even when your conscious self doesn't. Genuine joy, empathy, and care are impossible to fake perfectly. When someone is pretending, there's always a fraction of truth hiding beneath the surface, a truth that your intuition can sense if you allow yourself to listen. The eyes are the windows to authenticity. When someone smiles with sincerity, their entire face engages, their energy resonates, and the warmth is undeniable. But when someone is fake, it shows. Their lips move, but the energy behind it is absent. The brain recognizes this inconsistency almost instantly. You may not be able to name it, but you feel it. A sense of unease, a drop in your energy, a subtle pressure that something isn't aligned. This is your body telling you that you are in the presence of pretense, and ignoring it comes at a cost. Every moment spent with someone who wears a mask drains your emotional reserves, clouds your judgment, and erodes your sense of what is real. Fake smiles are not harmless. They are a reflection of deeper imbalance, of intentions that are self-serving, of hearts that are disconnected from truth, and of relationships built on performance rather than trust. When you allow these interactions to dominate your life, they quietly shape your perception of people, your ability to trust, and your own emotional resilience. You begin to question yourself, wonder if your instincts are wrong, and feel the weight of inconsistency pressing in. Your energy becomes fragmented, your focus scattered, and your confidence diminished. Recognizing a smile that doesn't reach the eyes is the beginning of reclaiming your clarity. It is an invitation to pay attention to subtle cues, to trust your gut, and to honor the signals your body and mind are sending you. Every time you notice this misalignment, you gain the power to act, to disengage from pretense, and to redirect your energy toward authenticity. You start to surround yourself with people whose joy, encouragement, and support are real, not performed. You create space where honesty thrives and where your own truth is mirrored back in every interaction. The reward for noticing these signs is profound. You no longer feel the silent drain of emotional dissonance. You no longer question your worth or second guess the people you choose to trust. Every genuine smile you encounter becomes a source of validation, connection, and energy. Your relationships shift from obligation to alignment, from superficial to nourishing, and most importantly, you begin to cultivate a sense of self that is impervious to manipulation, a clarity that allows you to protect your inner peace fiercely and without apology. Your intuition is not a suggestion, it is a radar. It signals authenticity and exposes pretense, even when words lie. Paying attention to the truth hidden in someone's expression allows you to reclaim control over your energy, your time, and your emotional life. It is the first step toward building a circle of connection that feeds your spirit rather than depletes it. It is the key to living without compromise, without confusion, and without surrendering your inner strength to false appearances. The moment you learn to see beyond the lips and into the eyes, you are no longer blind to deception. You are awake. You are alert. You are taking back what belongs to you: clarity, peace, and the freedom to invest in what is real. Have you ever listened to someone speak and felt a disconnect between their words and their actions? Perhaps they promise support, loyalty, or encouragement, yet their behavior tells an entirely different story. This is one of the clearest signs of inauthenticity, when what they say and what they do exist in two completely separate worlds. Words are easy to craft, actions reveal character. Every promise broken, every inconsistency, every subtle contradiction is a reflection of a deeper truth. They are not who they say they are, and their words are designed to create an illusion, not reality.
If you got hit, even as a passenger or in an Uber, you need to try this. I'm an attorney. I've been doing this for years, and I'm standing here because most people walk away.
Human psychology is remarkably sensitive to these contradictions. Cognitive dissonance, the discomfort we feel when actions and words clash, is a signal your mind cannot ignore. You may find yourself questioning your judgment, feeling uneasy, or replaying interactions in your mind. These are not signs of weakness. They are your instincts aligning with truth. Every time you feel this tension, it is a prompt to examine the reality of the person in front of you. To ignore it is to allow deception to continue quietly eroding your confidence, your clarity, and your energy. Fake people rely on the assumption that words can outweigh actions, that appearances can mask intentions, and that charm can conceal inconsistency. They may speak eloquently, offer compliments, or declare loyalty. Yet when circumstances shift, their true nature emerges. They fail to follow through, their behavior contradicts their promises, and their presence becomes conditional. Recognizing this pattern is not about cynicism, it is about reclaiming your power. When you align your awareness with the truth of their actions, you stop giving way to empty gestures and start prioritizing authenticity over illusion. Understanding this dynamic also gives you freedom from self-doubt. Often when someone's actions don't match their words, we internalize the imbalance, questioning our perceptions or believing we are imagining things. The reality is that inconsistency is rarely imagined. It is real, observable, and significant. When you learn to trust your perception of these gaps, you build an internal compass that navigates away from falsehood and toward clarity. You gain the strength to disengage from relationships that harm your emotional equilibrium and the wisdom to invest in those that truly honor their word. The impact of observing this sign of fakeness extends beyond awareness. It shapes your environment, your energy, and your sense of self. When you stop tolerating broken promises and mismatched intentions, you begin to protect your emotional boundaries. You start surrounding yourself with people whose words carry weight, whose actions reinforce truth, and whose presence is consistent with their expressed care. Every interaction becomes a source of energy instead of a drain, a reflection of integrity instead of pretense. The reward of noticing these discrepancies is profound. You gain clarity in decision-making, confidence in judgment, and peace in knowing that the people you allow into your inner circle align with your values. Every step you take away from inconsistency is a step toward freedom, from doubt, from manipulation, and from unnecessary emotional strain. You learn to honor your time, your energy, and your spirit by choosing people whose truthfulness matches their words, whose intentions are clear, and whose loyalty is unwavering. When you pay attention to actions over words, you stop being misled by charm, empty promises, or rehearsed affection. You see people for who they truly are, and you create space in your life for the genuine, the consistent, and the authentic. This awareness is not just a tool for discernment, it is a declaration of self-respect. It is a commitment to yourself that you will no longer settle for less than honesty, integrity, and alignment. You deserve that clarity, and you are capable of claiming it fully. Have you ever noticed that? Some people only seem to be around when they need something from you. Their attention appears to be a reward, conditional and fleeting, disappearing the moment it no longer serves their purpose. This is not coincidence. It is a fundamental sign of inauthenticity. A relationship built not on genuine connection, but on transaction. Human psychology thrives on reciprocity, and fake people exploit it. They give when it benefits them and withdraw when it does not. Their presence is not a reflection of care or loyalty. It is a reflection of self-interest, carefully disguised as friendship. The impact of this kind of relationship is deeper than you might realize. Every time you invest time, energy, or emotion into someone who only shows up for their gain, you deplete yourself. You start to doubt the sincerity of others. You feel a persistent unease, and you may even question your own worth. This imbalance creates a silent erosion of your emotional resilience. You begin to give more than you receive, not because generosity is the problem, but because the system you are operating within is unbalanced. Recognizing this pattern is essential because it allows you to reclaim your energy and stop pouring life into people who are not truly invested in yours. Fake people thrive on taking without giving. They are skilled at masking their intentions, offering moments of seeming support or attention, but their consistency is missing. Their loyalty is temporary, their encouragement conditional, and their presence selective. Psychology calls this transactional manipulation, and it can leave even the strongest individuals feeling drained, frustrated, and misled. Every subtle withdrawal, every absence when you needed them most, every sudden disappearance is a clear message. They are not here for you.
Did you know that you can form a Georgia LLC for $0 plus state fees? It's really easy using Zen Business.
They are not here for you. They are here for themselves. Understanding this allows you to shift your perspective from frustration to empowerment. It is not your responsibility to fill the gaps created by someone else's inauthenticity. Your energy is finite and your attention is precious. When you recognize that someone's involvement in your life is based on convenience rather than genuine care, you gain the freedom to redirect your focus. You start investing in relationships that are consistent, reciprocal, and nourishing, building a circle that amplifies your strength rather than draining it. The emotional reward of this awareness is profound. You no longer wait for someone to show up only to be disappointed. You no longer question whether your time and energy are being respected. Each decision to disengage from transactional relationships is a step toward emotional sovereignty, a declaration that you will no longer allow your value to be conditional on someone else's convenience. You create space for those whose presence is intentional, whose support is unwavering, and whose loyalty is earned through consistency and integrity. When you see clearly who is present for themselves and who is present for you, your life transforms. You begin to notice the subtle differences between genuine encouragement and performative attention, between relationships that nourish your soul and those that silently drain it. You cultivate a circle where trust is tangible, loyalty is visible, and every interaction reinforces your peace and your strength. Recognizing this pattern is not just about protecting yourself. It is about claiming the right to be surrounded by people who value you authentically, who show up not because they must, but because they choose to. Every time you refuse to invest in people who are only there for what they can take, you reclaim your energy, your clarity, and your peace. You build a life defined not by obligation, but by genuine connection. You step into a space where your relationships are mirrors of authenticity, reflection of mutual respect, and sources of true strength. And in that space, the influence of fake people diminishes, leaving only room for the real, the loyal, and the consistent to thrive around you. Have you ever noticed how some people speak about others with ease, sharing opinions, criticisms, or judgments behind their backs, yet act friendly in person? This is more than casual conversation. It is a hallmark of inauthenticity. Gossip is a window into character, revealing insecurity, envy, and a need for control. When someone speaks ill of others to you, it is a subtle but powerful signal of how they will treat you when you are not present. Their words, intended to bond through shared judgment, actually expose a pattern of manipulation and disloyalty that can quietly poison your energy if left unchecked. Psychology shows that people who gossip habitually are often attempting to elevate themselves by lowering others, creating an illusion of closeness while maintaining a sense of power. They rely on your trust and curiosity to validate their perspective, drawing you into a web of half-truths and selective narratives. Every conversation becomes a test, not of friendship, but of influence. Their attention is transactional. They are not invested in genuine connection. They are invested in shaping perception. Recognizing this pattern is crucial because it allows you to separate yourself from manipulation before it erodes your sense of reality, your confidence, and your inner peace. Hearing gossip triggers subtle emotional responses, doubt, judgment, or unease. Your mind starts to internalize the negativity, your trust begins to waver, and your energy is diverted toward processing someone else's distorted view of the world. When you fail to recognize the character behind these words, you risk allowing the toxicity to infiltrate your thoughts and decisions. Every word spoken in manipulation is designed to fragment your clarity, to subtly influence how you perceive people, and to create reliance on the speaker as a guide who is, in reality, self-serving. The power of noticing this sign of fakeness is profound. When you become aware of how gossip reflects character, you gain the ability to disengage mentally and emotionally. You no longer invest attention in narratives that are designed to manipulate or control. You begin to value loyalty, integrity, and honesty above entertainment or flattery. You start to prioritize relationships where words are consistent with actions, where conversations uplift instead of degrade, and where trust is demonstrated rather than just performed. The reward of this awareness is deep and lasting. You protect your mind from subtle erosion and your energy from unnecessary depletion. Every moment spent with people who refrain from gossip and practice integrity reinforces your sense of peace, your confidence, and your emotional resilience. You begin to understand that true friendship is not validated by shared criticism, but by shared respect, encouragement, and transparency. You are no longer pulled into the drama of false loyalty or distracted by the unstable judgments of others. Recognizing gossip as a signal of inauthenticity also empowers you to elevate your own behavior. You begin to model integrity, to speak truth without manipulation, and to honor the people around you with respect, whether they are present or absent. Your standards for connection rise, attracting those who value honesty and consistency while naturally repelling those who thrive on deception.
Watch this. I'm going to launch a business in 60 seconds using Shopify's AI Sidekick. No code.
Who thrive on deception. This awareness strengthens your inner circle, ensuring that every relationship is rooted in mutual respect and genuine care. By observing who talks with loyalty and who talks with self-interest, you reclaim the power to choose your associations wisely. You create a space where energy is nurtured, not drained, and where your trust is invested with intention. Every interaction becomes a reflection of authenticity, a reinforcement of clarity, and a protection of the peace that is your birthright. When you no longer tolerate manipulation disguised as conversation, you begin to live in a world shaped by truth, integrity, and unshakable confidence. Have you ever noticed how some people mirror your energy, your words, even your gestures, yet it feels hollow, mechanical, or strangely empty? This is not a compliment. It is a sign of inauthenticity. Fake people copy what they see, not out of admiration, but out of strategy. They attempt to reflect your enthusiasm, your confidence, your style in order to appear connected, to gain approval, or to manipulate perception. What they lack is genuine celebration of who you are. Their reflection is shallow, devoid of substance, and it cannot replace the authenticity of real encouragement. Psychology calls this mimicry. Humans naturally mirror behavior in social interactions, but when done with intent to manipulate, it becomes a tool of deception. Fake people use it to create illusions of closeness, to convince you of shared values, or to position themselves as allies, while their loyalty is conditional. They replicate energy instead of contributing it. They imitate success instead of fostering it. Their presence becomes a reflection of what you project rather than a reciprocal source of support, guidance, and validation. The subtle feeling of emptiness you sense is your intuition detecting the absence of true alignment. When someone mirrors without meaning, it creates confusion. You may feel flattered, validated, or understood, yet deep inside there is a subtle tension, a quiet questioning that cannot be ignored. Your energy is drawn toward them, but your spirit senses the hollowness beneath the surface. This is why relationships built on imitation never feel fully satisfying. There is no depth, no true resonance, and no sense of being genuinely seen. Your instincts know this, even when logic hesitates to identify it. Recognizing this pattern allows you to reclaim clarity and discernment. The difference between genuine connection and shallow mimicry is critical. True allies celebrate your uniqueness without copying it. They enhance your strengths, they amplify your voice, and they bring their own energy to the interaction. Fake people steal the reflection of your energy and offer it back as imitation, leaving a sense of emptiness where inspiration should reside. The moment you notice this, you gain the power to protect your emotional space and choose connections that are authentic, supportive, and mutually empowering. The reward of understanding this dynamic is transformative. You no longer confuse imitation with loyalty, flattery with encouragement, or presence with commitment. You learn to value substance over appearance, integrity over performance, and authenticity over false resonance. Every interaction becomes a measure of truth rather than a test of deception. You stop giving power to those who thrive on copying and begin to invest in those who genuinely celebrate, support, and challenge you to grow. Your awareness also strengthens your own authenticity. When you recognize shallow imitation in others, you commit more deeply to living as your true self, unafraid to shine without validation from mirrors of deception. You begin to radiate a presence that cannot be mimicked, attracting people who align with your truth and repelling those who seek to exploit it. Your energy becomes a filter, drawing real connections and eliminating hollow ones. By noticing when energy is copied rather than celebrated, you take another step toward emotional sovereignty. You honor your worth, protect your spirit, and surround yourself with relationships that resonate with truth. Every genuine smile, every sincere word, every aligned action becomes a confirmation that your circle is no longer cluttered with reflections. It is filled with substance, depth, and authenticity. And in this space, your growth, your peace, and your power are unstoppable. Have you ever felt a sense of distance in a conversation? A subtle resistance whenever someone is asked to go deeper, to be real, to share beyond the surface? This is one of the clear signs of inauthenticity. Fake people avoid meaningful dialogue because it requires vulnerability, honesty, and accountability, qualities they are unwilling or unable to offer. They stay in the shallow waters of interaction, keeping everything light, casual, or superficial. It may feel comfortable at first, but over time, this avoidance erodes trust, leaves connections hollow, and starves your need for genuine understanding. Human connection thrives on depth. When someone refuses to engage authentically, it signals more than shyness or introversion. It signals a choice to hide behind pretense. They are unwilling to show their true selves, and they are unwilling to see yours.
If you got hit, even if you were not driving, you need to try this.
Because if you
Pretense. They are unwilling to show their true selves, and they are unwilling to see yours. The psychology behind this avoidance is simple. Vulnerability is risky, and fakeness is a shield. By staying surface level, they protect themselves from exposure while simultaneously limiting the potential of any real bond. Your instincts pick up on this because humans are wired to sense authenticity. You feel it in the tension, the vagueness, the careful.
Hey, block Newport Official if y'all still in there. If my trill nigga still in that bitch, y'all block that nigga for me. Y'all block Newport Official. ASAP. Appreciate it.
measure words that never quite reveal intent. Being around someone who avoids depth leaves you emotionally exhausted without you realizing it. Conversations feel incomplete, energy is drained, and even moments of laughter carry an undertone of emptiness. The connection is an illusion, a performance designed to maintain appearance without the substance required to support a real relationship. Over time, this can subtly warp your perception of trust, leaving you questioning your own capacity to engage meaningfully or to discern who is truly real. Your energy begins to shift toward compensation, trying harder to create depth where none exists, to elicit honesty where there is none, when in reality, this effort is wasted. Recognizing this pattern is a critical turning point. Awareness allows you to stop expending energy on shallow interactions that offer little return. It frees you to invest in relationships where authenticity is present, where people are willing to engage, challenge, and grow alongside you. Depth is not optional in meaningful connections, it is the foundation. When you demand substance, you attract those capable of providing it, and the relationships that remain become a source of energy, clarity, and fulfillment, rather than frustration and doubt. The reward for noticing this avoidance is profound. You reclaim your emotional bandwidth, protect your peace, and align your life with people who are capable of true engagement. You begin to recognize that surface level comfort is not the same as genuine closeness. True connection requires courage from both sides. When someone consistently refuses to go beyond the superficial, it is not a reflection of your worth, it is a reflection of their limitations. Accepting this frees you from lingering confusion, disappointment, and misplaced loyalty. This awareness strengthens your own capacity for authenticity. As you distance yourself from those who avoid depth, you deepen your own presence, your own willingness to be vulnerable, and your ability to form meaningful bonds. You no longer waste energy coaxing honesty from those unwilling to give it. Instead, your time and attention are reserved for relationships that are aligned with truth, engagement, and real connection. Every interaction becomes a measure of substance, every word a reflection of intent, and every connection a source of growth and strength. By noticing who avoids depth, you take another step toward emotional freedom. You protect your inner world, prioritize authenticity, and surround yourself with people who are willing to meet you where you truly exist. In this space, your relationships are no longer hollow performances. They are aligned, meaningful, and empowering. Your life begins to reflect clarity. Your peace becomes unshakable, and your capacity for connection reaches its fullest potential. Have you ever walked away from someone feeling uneasy? Your gut telling you something is off even when everything appears normal on the surface? That uneasy sensation is not imaginary. It is your intuition, the quiet but powerful signal that something about the person or the interaction is not aligned with truth. Fake people cannot hide their inconsistency entirely. Your subconscious picks up on subtle cues, tone, posture, hesitation, micro-expressions, even the energy they radiate. When your instincts flare, it is a warning, a psychological radar alerting you to pretense and manipulation. Intuition is a deeply wired human faculty honed over millennia to detect honesty and deception. You do not need to overanalyze every word or dissect every gesture to know when something is false. Your body feels it. Your energy registers it. Your spirit responds before your mind even fully understands why. Ignoring this inner guidance comes at a cost. Every time you suppress your instincts, you risk emotional drain, mental confusion, and misplaced trust. Fake people exploit the hesitation that arises when you second guess yourself, using charm, eloquence, or false warmth to obscure their true intentions. Learning to trust your intuition changes everything. It gives you clarity in moments of doubt and confidence in your judgments. It allows you to perceive the subtle dissonance that others may overlook, to recognize when a smile is empty, a word is hollow, or an action is misaligned. Your instincts are not a suggestion. They are a signal of alignment or misalignment with truth. The moment you honor that signal, you reclaim control over your emotional world. You begin to differentiate between energy that nurtures and energy that depletes, between presence that is real.
You don't need a speaker. Your phone's real volume is locked. I'm about to show you a secret that the Android industry
and energy that depletes, between presence that is real. and presence that is performative. The psychological power of intuition lies in its immediacy. While logic requires analysis and evidence, intuition cuts through pretense in real time. It protects you from investing in relationing. You reinfraction with discernment. Trusting your inner signal is not a defensive posture. It is an act of empowerment. You are choosing. You no longer question your perceptions, wrestle with doubt, or carry the subtle weight of manipulation. You become attuned to authenticity, able to sense honesty even when it is quiet, and detect deception even when it is charming. Your relationships shift from draining to empowering. Your circle begins to reflect people whose words, actions, and energy align with integrity. You cultivate a life where trust is not tentative, but secure, where your energy is respected, and where your emotional world is protected from the subtle erosion caused by pretense. By trusting your intuition, you reclaim your authority over your emotional and social environment. You learn to act decisively when something feels off, to disengage from those whose energy is inconsistent, and to invest fully in those whose presence is genuine. Every warning your gut provides is a step toward emotional sovereignty.
Emotional sovereignty. Shout out to the real. Shout out to the real. Booth of Brick, you got to go. Booth of Brick, Newport official. Get your lame ass on. Everything I do is soulful. I do everything for a reason. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. That's my shit. My love to y'all, man. I'm out this bitch. I'll be back. Ain't no telling why I might pop up at. Y'all know how I do. Instantaneously, spontaneously. With soul for love. For people that don't even understand. You dig?